Hey, welcome to or back to Barbie Co Productions. And today I have this Barbie Dream Bestie doll that I found at a thrift store for only $3. She is in pretty good condition. She didn't come with any of her original clothes or accessories, but that is okay because I have my own. She has pretty basic articulation, not made to move, but not only the 5 points of articulation. And I think she'd work as quite a good story character. I also recently saw my Froggy Stuff putting a Barbie head on a Barbie Dream Bestie body, and I wanted to try that out. I have a few fashionista options here that I think will be an okay match. I think out of the three, this one is not quite the perfect match, but I think this one and this one will work as okay color matches. Yeah, this color match isn't right, but I think this one is pretty close. And this one is also pretty close. I'm gonna use this Barbie. Her hair is a little bit crazy out of box, but the first step is to remove heads with boiling hot water. I start by putting the Dream Bestie doll in a Ziploc bag and putting her in the hot water. And after a few minutes, I take her head off. And let's not forget to remove this price tag. Next, I'm repeating the same process for the fashionista. Then, after cutting the neck peg down, I can put the new head on the new body. And this is where it's at now. The color match isn't perfect, but I think it'll work okay. The next dilemma is her feet. She has no ankle articulation, a larger than regular Barbie foot, and she cannot fit any of my Barbie shoes. So to fix that, I'm gonna mark off where her ankle ends, and remove them. This process looks a little bit crazy. And then I repeat the same process with the other foot. So that she looks like this. Then I'm roughly marking out where the middle is. And I have these Barbie feet that I got off AliExpress. If you're someone like me who always has the dolls in shoes or socks, or you just don't see the feet often, the color match does not have to be perfect. Then I get a drill bit that is a similar size to the peg of the foot. It's always better to go a little bit smaller because if you drill it too big, you can't add the plastic back in. And that ends up with something like this. You can leave it like this because now she can fit the Barbie shoes, but I do like to go through with my Dremel just to tidy up around the edges. Being careful to make sure you don't Dremel the feet because there will be scuff marks if you sand off the shiny plastic. Here's what they look like all sanded down, and here she is in Barbie shoes. The next thing I'm going to work on is the face paint. I'm going to start by using some 100% acetone to take off the factory paint. Some of the dolls through this fashionista era, more recently, have had some very difficult to get off face paint compared to older dolls or the signature dolls. So I do like to go through and use a toothpick to help get that off a little bit easier. And once I've taken off all the factory paint that I want to take off for this, I go through and wipe her face down with a damp cloth just to remove any extra acetone. This part of the process is always a bit of a trust the process moment, but I'm gonna start by mixing up a lip color. This recipe seems to change all the time. It depends on the look that you're going for and the color that it should look like on the doll. And a lot of the time I don't get it right the first time and I have to go back and make small changes to the color. And this is what I've got so far. Next step is moving on to the eye paint. For this I'm going to mix some blue and green and then mix them together into this sort of teal color. I'm trying to make a similar color to what her eyes already are, but in a slightly darker tone. So I add some brown to make the color a bit warmer. And then I add some water to thin out the paint and start adding it onto the eyes. Looking at this so far, it looks a bit too dark for what I was going for. So I wiped it off while the paint was still wet and went back and changed the color around a bit. And I think this is much closer. I also go in and use a pen to re-add the top of her eye where I took off a little too much with the acetone and make sure her eyes look pretty even again. Then I go in and re-add the pupil using some black paint. So that she looks like this. And then I add a little bit of white paint to the corners of her eyes. And you can already see there the difference that makes. Lastly, I add back in the whites of her eyes, trying to keep the dots pretty small. And this is what I've got so far, but the more I look at it, I think the lip color is just a little bit off, so I'm gonna go back in with some acetone, take it off and try again. And this is what I was saying before about not getting the lip color right every single time. Sometimes you just have to go back and make a new color. This time I'm trying a bit of a different recipe, trying to make a lighter color. And I think this color will work better for the character I had in mind. Once her lips are dry, I go in with some gloss Mod Podge to seal both her lips and eyes. This just makes them shiny and helps to keep the paint on so it doesn't chip off. And now that her face is done, I can take down her hair. And I'm also going to root in some lashes. For this, I'm using the same light brown color that I used in my last makeover. Now I'm just trimming them back. And here's what it looks like with one eye done. You can already see the difference. And here she is with both eyes done. Here are the basics that I've picked out for her outfit. The question now is whether I give her the cardigan or the overshirt. Here's option 1. And here's option 2. I'm also going to pierce her ears using a thumbtack. And here she is with both earrings in. I'm also going to add these shoes. And I'm also going to accessorize with this mini necklace. And this bag. To complete her final look. But that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below or check out my community tab where I post regular behind the scenes pictures and updates. Bye! Just as a quick disclaimer, my videos are intended for a 13+ audience and are not made for kids. As an adult who collects dolls, I use customization methods and sharp tools that are not suitable for children.